That's the beautiful sky, and there's the magnificent pasture. Here's more of the pasture, all of which God created.
August 2014. Jim Martin surveys his 300 acres of pasture and forest land in northeast Texas near Sulphur Springs. It has been in his family for 130 years. Most of the farm is populated with a lush thicket of century-old endangered post oak trees.
I'm simply a steward of all of this, just a caretaker. I'll pass away and this will still be here.
Shortly after he recorded this video, Martin died, leaving the property to his wife, Cynthia.
I mean, there's Indian mounds all through here. It's so spiritual, I just feel like I walked through a piece of heaven. The trees, to me, talk. The way they move, they communicate with each other. There's something magical about trees.
The trees, the fertile farmland, the wildlife.
Lots of cardinals, bluebirds. We have barn owls, screech owls.
It's all sacred to her, which is why in 2019, when developers wanted to lease her land to build a solar farm, she said no. But deals with some neighbors had already been signed. A French energy company, Engie, planned to build a giant solar farm on about 2,000 acres just outside of the little community of Dyke. The developers had also been quietly working with Hopkins County commissioners on securing much-needed tax breaks. In exchange, the county would get payments of over $3 million over 10 years. In September of 2020, commissioners signed off. 3 months later, Martin and several community members found out.
Hundreds of landowners, both small and large, were never notified. No one was notified. I have over 150 names right here. None of these people were notified.
Martin, her son Michael, and upset neighbors confronted county commissioners whom they say intentionally kept them in the dark.
A solar complex as large as this should be built somewhere that's above the floodplain, not on top of clay soil, not in an environmentally sensitive area, not with thousands of acres of post oak forest belt that is going to be cut down.
And in the middle of a community.
And y'all
don't plop that down in the middle of a community. You sold us out.
Commissioners say they gave proper notice of the project as soon as they were approached.
So we were not aware that they were even under contract. I don't think Wade was even. I certainly wasn't until we found out that they had made the contracts. Then they came.
But once landowners and local governments sign on, the developers are free to start construction. So Martin and her son began to organize.
Listen, I don't care how many acres you do or you don't have. I don't care how big or small your house is. Everybody matters. Everybody matters.
They have no right to authorize anything on our behalf, period. This is our community, not theirs.
Their only option now to file a lawsuit claiming the contracts were invalid and environmental studies were never done. Hopkins County Judge Robert Newsom never responded to multiple requests for an interview. Engie also declined an interview citing ongoing litigation, but told us via email that only 50 out of the 1,800 acres will require the clear-cutting of trees. But about an hour away in Van Zant County, David Dunnigan and his wife were just starting to nestle into their slice of heaven, a country home they bought just a few years ago as a retirement getaway.
I mean, we have our own garden, we grow our own vegetables, we got well water, which is obscenely clean, local cattle. I mean, this is what we moved out here for.
But one morning, he awoke to this. Solar farm developers were driving posts into the ground. It didn't take long for him to learn of the plan that in 1 year's time, his whole property would be surrounded.
We're this square right here. See, all surrounded by these different colors of different landowners. This right here is where the inverters go. So the transmission line runs like this, right across here.
And the solar panels would go
Everywhere from here all the way to Witten, almost to Witten, and from here south.
Dunnigan rallied his neighbors, took to social media, and stood up to the developers at town hall meetings.
This community, yes, it's rural, but we had in meetings between 200 and 400 people from right around here that would show up to learn. And as they learned, when the solar people started coming back to lease more land, they were educated and they knew to say no.
It soon became apparent that this solar farm project would never succeed. Not here. Opposition from the community forced the company to drop its plan to build. But for Cynthia Martin and her family, the resistance came too late. The developers quietly negotiated tax breaks and signed up enough landowners to get the project going. Martin says she has spent nearly all her savings fighting the developers.
I'll pass away and this will still be here.
Fighting to save her family farm.
You just don't go in and destroy to put up solar panels. Renewable energy is to figure out how to work with the land, the entire system to make it work. You don't go in and destroy.
But that's exactly what's about to happen to one pristine piece of Texas history. Vast acreage of prairie land preserve about to be plowed under for profit.
You know, you hate to lose something that nature has built for us, but again, he's purchased the land outright and he owns it.
The largest unspoiled stretch of native grassland in the state, displaced by a sea of solar panels. When we come back.